Hello, welcome to this tutorial, which is a follow-up to the tutorial on the introduction to exponents. This is to give you a chance to try some questions. You might want to pause and then come back and have a look at what I've done. The first one, number 1, says in each question decide which the correct answer is and circle the letter. Well, I'll circle the whole thing because it's easier. First one, 7 is equivalent to, and there are 4 options given, but the correct one is, if a number is on its own, the power is a 1. So C is the correct answer. Second one, 7 squared, the power is 2, it's telling me to multiply 7 by itself twice, so the answer is 49, which is D. 1 to the power of 100 is 1 times 1 times 1, and we keep doing this 100 times. And it doesn't matter how many times you multiply 1 by itself, the answer will always be 1, so the answer is B. 5 cubed, the 3 is telling me to multiply 5 by itself 3 times. So 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. So the correct answer is C. 3 to the power of 4, the exponent is 4, it's telling me to multiply 3 by itself 4 times. You can do it in order if you want. I'm doing 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81, so the correct answer is D. 4y cubed relies on you remembering bit mass. We have to do indices first before multiplication, so it's 4 times y cubed, or if you like 4 times y times y times y. But in this particular question, B is the correct choice. It's 4 times y cubed. Negative y to the power of 4, again bit mass, it's negative 1 times y to the power of 4. The correct option is B. Or you could think of this minus 1 times y times y times y times y, 4 times. Okay? How are we doing so far? I'm confident you're doing well. Negative 1 to the power of 6, the 6 is telling me to multiply negative 1 by itself 6 times. We don't need the multiplication sign. There we go. Now, every 2 negatives will make a positive. So we get 3 positives times them by each other, it's a positive, and 1 times itself, doesn't matter how many times, will give you a positive 1. So D was the correct answer. The last one, negative 1 to the power of 5, every 2 negatives will make a positive, so that will make a positive, those will make a positive, there will be 1 negative left, so the answer would be negative 1, so the correct answer is C. Well, I hope you did well on this one. The next question, number 2, same thing again. You might want to pause and then come back and see how I've done them. See the correct answers. Okay, it says which is smaller in value, circle the correct answer. Well, 2 to the power of 5, the 5 is telling me to multiply 2 by itself 5 times. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. And this one, 5 squared, you should know is 5 times 5, which is 25, which is smaller, B, the 5 squared. 10 to the power of 1 is just 10, and 1 to the power of 10 is 1. 1 times itself 10 times. It makes no difference, the answer is still 1. Which is the smaller one? Well, it's obviously B. 3 cubed, the 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. 4 cubed, with multiplying 4 by itself 3 times. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. Which is the smaller one? A, 3 cubed. 2 to the 6 is asking me, 6 is telling me to multiply the 2 by itself 6 times. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's 5 times 2. And 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 8 will give us 64. 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100, which is the smaller one, 2 to the power of 6. Okay? Negative 1 to the power of 1001. 1001 is an odd number, just like earlier when we had negative 1 to the 6, an even number, the power was even, the answer was a 1. When the power is odd, the answer is negative 1. So this should be negative 1, and this one should be 1. So the smaller one is obviously that one there. Okay, and this last one, negative 5 squared, we should think of it as negative 1 times 5 squared, or negative 1 times 5 times 5, and the answer is negative 25. 5 squared is simply 5 times 5, which is 25, which is the smaller one, A, negative 5 squared. Okay? I hope you did well on this one. Same again, remember to pause, have a go, and come back to it. This time they're asking you to solve for n, so we're going to find the exponent, and in some of them we're going to find the base. What does 16 is? 16 is 2 to the power of n. What's the n telling us to do? To keep multiplying 2 by itself, work out how many times we need to do it to get 16. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So it's 2 to the power of 4. So n equals 4. 64 is 8 times, how many times do we multiply 8 by itself to get 64? It's 2. In other words, it's 8 squared. So n equals to 2. 8 on its own means 8 to the 1. So n equals to 1. 64 is 4 times 4. How many times to get 64? 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64, so it's in fact 4 cubed, so n equals 3. This time we want to find a base. So 125 is n times n, because the cube is telling me to multiply n by itself 3 times. What number would fit that? Well, it's 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125. So n equals 5, the base is 5. 9 equals n to the 1, it can only be 9, 9 to the 1. So n equals 9, be careful, not 1. N is the base. Similarly here, 16 equals n times n times n times n, because the exponent is 4, is telling us to multiply n by itself 4 times. So what fits in? There's a 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So n equals 2. The last one, 81, is n times n. What number do we multiply by itself to give us 81? Well, it's 9. So n equals to 9. Well, I hope you did well on this one as well. On to the next one. Take care.